What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise post-game show. Forgot to switch it to the intro screen, but we're ready to go with this one. We're gonna recap this blowout from the Portland Trailblazers against the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers beat the Blazers by a score of 133 to 116. This is yet another blowout loss against a good team, so we will discuss some more of the same in regards to the Blazers' performances against good NBA teams. Now, the Blazers didn't have Nurkic in this one, but a lot of the problems the Blazers displayed go far beyond just missing Yusuf Nurkic. And we're here to break it down as always. Hope your nights are going well. Hopefully you guys have had a good Tuesday. The Blazers were a bit of a roller coaster in this one. They start off giving up 14 to 15 shots to the Clippers. The Clippers made 14 of their first 15 shots. The Blazers gave up, I believe, 47 points in the first quarter. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct, yep.
47 points, Eric, in the first quarter. They come back, get it. They were down 26, get it to 7 by halftime, and then still end up basically being down 20 late in the fourth quarter, entering garbage time. So this was a bit of a roller coaster. This was, just honestly kind of the game I expected. We were able to fight our way back in simply because we have a lot of talented scorers. CJ McCollum and Norman Powell were huge tonight, but the defense reared its ugly head. We only played one good defensive quarter, which was the second quarter, and it's hard to be a team as good as the Los Angeles Clippers are when you only have one good defensive quarter and the rest is a struggle. So we'll break that down. Eric, what are your feelings on this game?
My feelings are that Terry Stotts coaches like his ideas and stuff that have been figured out for a couple years now are just going to all of a sudden magically work again. And there's nothing fresh going on. There's no new things, new wrinkles introduced. There's no, let's try this game defensively. Let's try this to beat a trap. There's none of that. We just run the same crap we run all the time, and that has been figured out, and that does not work in the NBA, at least for this team anymore. And it's frustrating because, they just had to put extra attention to Dame and completely take him out of the game. We have no idea how to adjust or attack when the teams put that much pressure on him or double team him or trap him or whatever. And we have no idea how to slow down an offense. And then, okay, if there's some debate on Twitter whether or not the 47 points they were getting open shots or just hitting incredibly tough shots. To me, it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, if you're an average defense or something and you have a game like this, then you could say, okay, the other team made shots or whatever. But this is almost a game-by-game basis with us where we give up all these shots. We give up a quarter like this, or we have teams shoot their best percentage of the year against us or whatever. And that's not an outlier. That's not just they hit shots this game or whatever. It's our defense is that bad, and it's that bad scheme wise. The players play a conservative way that does not it's not inducive to taking away any strengths of the opposition. It's just sit back and let them get comfortable and shoot whatever shot they want in the beginning. And it's no wonder they get on fire and shoot well because they get whatever shots they want. They get into rhythm every game against us in the first quarter right off the bat, and we do nothing to try and take away anything that they're good at. And it just boggles my mind that we're still running drop coverage against some of the best offensive players in this league several years after it being apparent that it doesn't work with this roster.
Yep. I mean, it's the same. This was a game that showcased all the complaints that we've had in regards to the way we played. Now, honestly, I'm looking at this statistically. We scored 116 points, but we did not shoot the ball well. We only shot 40% from 2, or no, 40% from the field and 30% from three. We got to the line 37 times, made 31 of those. A lot of that was Norman Powell. He had 15 free throw attempts. It was just him going downhill, going at bigs. That's part of the reason we got him. He can get to the free throw line. You would have never seen Gary Trent Jr. with 15 free throw attempts. So he was able to get to the line and have an efficient night because of that. Dame got 7 free throws, but I mean, this showcased us not having an answer for the trap. And what did I say in the pregame show yesterday? I said they're likely going to come out and trap. They have the personnel to do so, and we'll see how we respond. This game, you saw a lot more of this sort of setup. I will bring up the clipboard for you guys. You saw a lot more two-guard front. It's basically Dame's getting trapped in the half-court corner because they're running pick and rolls that high. And running him towards the sideline, and then his only outlet option is CJ McCollum across the court. Or it's a guarded Carmelo Anthony towards the corner, and then Melo isos and forces a tough contested jump shot. That was basically our offense for big portions of this game today. It wasn't good. It was just showcasing us not setting up the floor well to beat the trap. And that has just been the most frustrating thing for me offensively for a very long time. Defensively, we come out...
Real quick, let me comment ahead before we move to the defense. So the frustrating part about that is we have guys like CJ, now Norman Powell, Melo, and Dame certainly qualify for this. Like that possession I posted on Twitter where we have 3 guys basically run to half court, and that's how we beat the trap, and then we just ISO Melo in the corner. But the problem is Melo can hit that shot, or CJ can take the ball and go one-on-one and make a hard shot, or Dame can hit a 30-foot three with 2 guys on him. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, look at the offense. It's rated 5th in the league or whatever, even though like we make it as hard as possible on our players to score, and we don't do anything to attack those. But like it's just frustrating because if Melo hits that shot, then everyone will be like, see, we scored 116 points or whatever. And it's like, but no, that like you do everything wrong. Like that's not how you're going to beat a good team in the playoffs in a 7-game series. And that's the most frustrating part to me, is that we continue to do these things, and occasionally he gets bailed out because we have good shot makers that can make tough shots, but like it's not good basketball, and it's really frustrating for me to watch when I'm trying to like analyze what's happening, because we keep making the same mistake over and over for years now.
Yeah, I mean, and this isn't a personnel thing. This is our setup, the red side. This is our setup to beat a trap. Basically, a lot of times, Dame will be getting pressured. Here's the thing. Teams that trap normally pressure the ball like once Dame crosses half court in general. But it's almost like because there's so much pressure on Dame, it's like, okay, well, we need to go set him a screen, right where the pressure meets him. So you have a guy like Canner or whoever coming up and setting a screen here, and Dame's dribbling off, Or maybe this is middle. Either way, you're dealing with the half-court line, and if he's going this way, he's also dealing with the sideline, all right? And then, a Cantor or Nurkic rolls. Now, here's the problem, right? So, they're trapping off a Cantor. You got the point guard in the center here trapping Dame, and the power forward can be completely guarded. The small forward, if he's here, Dame's not going to be able to get the ball there if he's trapped. It's going to have to be 2 passes, so the small forward can kind of suck in here, and he can definitely get out here in time. There's no chance this becomes an open shot. But then, a lot of times we have CJ so far up court that his guy doesn't even have to guard him. His guy will actually come all the way down in here into the big. So this isn't an option. So Dame's only option is to skip the ball here. But if CJ catches let's say the defense doesn't even move when the ball's in the air. Let's say they don't even move until CJ catches the ball. Is CJ going to be able to score from here?
Which isn't the case.
Because he starts attacking, this guy steps up, this guy rotates back to the center. And then everybody's guarded, and then it's isolation basketball. And and we don't exploit the fact that when we have a trap here, you technically have a 4-on-3. Yep. But the problem is we set it up in a way where everybody can be guarded except for CJ, and CJ's at half court, so he's not a threat. That's why we struggle with the trap. Now, this is a tough pass in general, cross court, out of the trap, but it's like when we trap other teams, they easily exploit it. right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what they do. I challenge people, anybody who disagrees with us, which there's probably not many people in this stream that disagree with us, but anybody who disagrees with us, I challenge you to try and pay attention to where guys are when we get Dame trapped in the corner. All right. And then pay attention to other teams if we ever trap, which sadly we don't do often enough. How do they set up the floor to beat it? Because this is probably the worst way you could set it up. Your only outlet is across the court, and he's not in a position to score, and his guy can easily rotate and meet him here at the 3-point line, giving this guy to rotate back. Like, honestly, this is such a long pass that by the time CJ gets it, this center is almost all the way back to Nurkic. And this small forward is all the way out there. And this shooting guard is coming up to meet CJ here, and then it's a bunch of isolation basketball. So, like, if they ran the ball into the trap but had a design to exploit it and create an advantage, then it'd be fine. And it could be something as simple as, if this shooting guard sucks down in, Nurkic tries to seal him and screen him, and then you have CJ curling over the top and going towards the rim, catching the ball on the run. And then you got a 2-on-1 here. If this guy sucks in, you got to kick out there. If this guy sucks, comes in, you got to kick out here, or this guy can cut baseline if this guy steps up. And this could be a lob to somebody like a Derrick Jones Jr. Just something that simple. Try that, but it's like we run Dame into the trap, but then don't even try and exploit it. I understand inviting the trap if you have a good way to exploit it. But if you don't have a good way to exploit it, which we don't, I don't know why we play into its hands so much, because it doesn't work. And that's how you have Dame have games where he's just completely off. He was not able to get anything clean all night long outside of an offensive rebound putback sort of scenario in the paint. He was being hounded, he was being denied. When we had him bring the ball up, we were playing him into the trap. When he was being denied, we weren't running any action for him off the ball. How many times did you see a setup where CJ or Norman Powell or whoever is just dribbling the ball up here and Dame's just being denied? And like they look at Dame and Dame's just being denied and he's just kind of standing up here. So it's like, okay, gotta go one-on-one, and CJ would go one-on-one, or he'd kick it here and Derrick Jones Jr. would shoot a 3, or, say Melo was over here, he'd kick it to Melo, he'd kick it to Melo and then Melo would shoot a contested jumper. That was our offense for wide stretches of this game. And it's not smart offense. It's not well-coached offensive basketball. And this is what's going to happen in the playoffs. This is what's happened in the playoffs before. This is how we lost to New Orleans Pelicans back in 2018. This is why we get swept a lot of times when we face like legitimate defenses. Now, we beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. They had Steven Adams as their big. They weren't well coached. They didn't trap hard. So Dame was able to go off. We faced the Nuggets. The Nuggets, Jokic, he's not mobile. That's not really his game. He couldn't effectively trap all that well. But Dame also struggled in that series because even though it was Jokic, they still trapped hard. It took CJ in isolation situations, which often come out of us not dealing with the trap. It took CJ being on fire and Rodney Hood being on fire in isolation to barely beat the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. It was Denver, an inexperienced Denver team that barely beat the Spurs that year in 7 games, and weren't they weren't that experienced. So everybody likes to point to that run, but it's like what happens? We go into the Western Conference Finals, face a depleted Warriors team, but they know how to trap, and Dame has a bad series. And Dame having a bad series, everybody's blaming Dame. I want to make this point real quick, and then I'll let you speak on this a little bit more. But it's frustrating for me because Dame playing bad is a symptom of the problem. I don't fault Dame for that. Dame being put in this situation and being guarded like this and us playing into its hands and not doing anything to help him, I don't blame Dame for having a bad game. Of course he's going to have a bad game if that's what he's dealing with, NBA Twitter will love to just roast Dame for his performance, right? That's something that I see a lot of complaints about on Twitter. But I don't blame Dame. Dame struggling is a symptom of the problem. The problem is how we play him into the trap when teams are trapping him, how we then don't have an answer for that trap, and then when he's being denied, we don't have sets that utilize him off the ball hardly at all. That's the issues. Those are the biggest issues with the offense, in my opinion, and oftentimes it gets exposed in the playoffs where we'll go from like a 4th or a 5th ranked offense out of 30 teams in the regular season to something like the 8th to 12th ranked offense out of 16 teams in the playoffs. That's
Sometimes
why.
16.
Yeah, and it's because of that. It's because of how we play into the trap.
Yeah, so, okay, let me just get this point out there. Dame does play lazy at times. He does play lazy against the traps. He does play lazy defense. But that's our whole team. That's our whole philosophy, is to be lackadaisical, to be conservative against these traps instead of attacking them. If our mindset was for him to attack them like strongly, there's no way this guy Dame would be lazy like this. This is how we are. Our coach is teaching these guys to do these situations both defensively and offensively, because we don't know how to trap. So like the same problems happen on that end. So like this guy, it looks lazy. Looks like our whole team's lazy because they have no clue. They're not being taught what to do. There's no structure. There's no like sense of urgency when he gets trapped to attack the 4-on-3 advantage. Like you said, they throw a lazy cross-court pass, and by the time it gets to CJ, like the whole defense is recovered, and it's you didn't even take advantage of a situation where you could have gotten someone open. It's just so frustrating. And yeah, it looks like Dame is just out there doing nothing and having a terrible game. But like, this is what happens when you rely so much on one player, and your concepts on both offense and defense allow you to both have that player taken out of the game on one end and be attacked defensively on the other end. And this is going to continue to be a problem until these schematic things are addressed.
Yep.
And before you respond, let's get to some donos. Andrew Miller with a huge $20 dono. What's up, Andrew Miller? He says, the Portland Trailblazers are not a good NBA team. Good teams beat us with ease, and at times it seems like they're toying with us. If taking Dame out of the equation completely obliterates our offense, then what is the point? Yep.
Yeah.
What is the point? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand why we can't come up with something to try against some of these actions against Dame. It just doesn't make sense.
It's just silly. Like, how do you not have a set? Like, you should just have sets where you can plug any guy into the role. Like, you should have sets where you can kind of change around maybe who is in what part of the play. You know, maybe it's a 3-point play where you're using a guy off the ball to try and get him open for a 3-point shot, and you can plug in Dame as the shooter, CJ is the shooter. When we had Gary Trent Jr., Gary Trent Jr. is the shooter. That's what good teams do. And they run good motion, they move the ball well, and they do a good job of freeing up their stars if the defense is trying their hardest to take them out of the game. Like, it doesn't make sense to me how a defense can simply trap hard and deny Dame, which is basically just game planning to try and completely take him out of the game, and we don't have a counter for it. You're not able to get your best player going at all if defenses are solid and just decide to take him out of the game. That's frustrating. Now, we have players that can make up for that, and they do at times, and that's how we're still able to have a good offense. And that it might discourage some teams from completely selling out on Dame. But how many times in playoffs do we have to see defenses sell out on Dame and trap him and deny him? How many times do we have to see that to develop some sort of counter for that? We've seen that for years, and we still don't have any idea of how to deal with it, any idea of how to get him a clean look. It's almost like, oh, well, they're playing good defense on Dame. Props to them. Good job, defense. Hopefully CJ can score a lot in isolation. That is basically our game plan when teams take Dame out of the game. We don't have an answer, and it's just silly to me, and it's been one of my biggest complaints. And like, there's no argument against that. A lot of people will people on the other side of the coin, people that think Stotts is fine and it's not his fault, will simply blame our personnel for that. But I don't understand how having CJ McCollum, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, and Yusuf Nurkic is an excuse for us simply setting up the floor. It's obviously a floor setup problem. It's not a personnel problem. Now, if you've set up the floor in a good way, and then a guy like Rocco, has to make a pass, and he makes a bad pass, then I'm not complaining about the floor setup, right? Then it's like, okay, Rocco didn't execute it properly, but they're not being put in that position in the first place, which is the issue that I have, and it's why it's not personnel. You got to put the players in a position on the floor to exploit the trap, okay? And then obviously they have to execute that and make the right decisions. The problem is they're not being put in that position, and that is 100% on the coaching. It doesn't even matter who the personnel is if they're not being put in the right position and if the floor balance isn't correct.
100% agree. And then you see tonight, like Rocco had several good drives to the basket, had some nice passes, and then you're like, well, why not let him prove that he's incapable of that before you just write it off as personnel? And that's always been my problem, especially with the defensive traps and stuff like that, is we just say, oh, we can't do that because we have Cantor. We can't do this. We can't do that. We have 3 of our starting 5 as horrible defenders. We can't do anything other than drop the big, right? Mm-hmm. It's just so dumb. Like, okay, well, dropping the big isn't working either, so why wouldn't you at least try to do these things? And if they get blown up too, then at least you can say you went down swinging instead of just like, oh, we're just not going to do anything about it and just let them score 47 freaking points in one quarter. It's just, it's inexcusable to me that we do not see anything different. And to Gray Hughes Investigates, $10 donation. Thanks for the donation, as always, Gray Hughes. He says CJ should be our point when playing trapping teams. And so I have people telling me on Twitter, like, Dame will get trapped even if he's off the ball. If a team wants to trap Dame when he doesn't have the ball and CJ's coming up, then that speaks to your spacing thing. If we space the floor right, just put Dame in the corner and let 2 guys guard him, and then you have 4-on-3. Someone's open. There's 4 guys and only 3 defenders. Someone is open. Mm-hmm. And if they're not double-teaming him, it's a lot harder to locate and double-team him if he's coming off screens and off ball, and that often leads to, if you have the right spacing and setups, like you mentioned, for someone else to be wide open rolling to the rim if they do double-team.
Well, I mean, this is like a simplified way of showing it, but, you know, I showed this floor setup, right? Okay, first off, the defense sees this screen coming from a million miles away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like they're facing the action, right? If Dame has the ball here and they're running a screen, they see this coming from a million miles away. And the center just has to keep running. Perfect trapping position. You got the half-court line there. You got the sideline there. CJ's all the way up here. He's the only outlet, right? It's funny how people think that's the exact same situation as if you had CJ bring the ball up, okay? You know, maybe you have the center up here, whatever. If you have CJ bring the ball up and you have like Derrick Jones Jr. set a pin down for Dame or whatever, a screen for Dame, and both these guys trap Dame coming off of it. Guess what? Bang. Alley-oop dunk. How is this anything like remotely the same? That's crazy to me. And also, here's the thing. If this small forward is coming down, this guy has his back to Dame, so he's not going to see it coming, right?
Yeah.
So if this is a good screen on the point guard, and this guy doesn't see it coming, he may want to trap, but he may just be sucked in, looking at ball and man and not see Dame is coming off the screen right here. They may want to trap, but you could still get Dame an open shot. Or if this guy closes out topside, Dame might have a chance to beat him middle. CJ flares out. It has a lot better chance to succeed. You have a lot better chance of getting Dame a good look on that than if you simply just run him into the corner and set a screen that the defense sees a million miles away and then Dame gets trapped here. It's absolutely insane to me that people think those two situations are the same. So that whole argument of, well, they trapped Dame off the ball if you utilized him off the ball is such a bad casual argument. It drives me crazy, man, because they're not remotely the same. That's just the easy way for people who don't want to watch or study basketball. That's the easiest argument for them to make, but it doesn't make any sense.
And honestly, if you run that back to where the point guard, where Dame's coming off and getting it in the corner there, or getting a pass off ball off the screen, if they switch that too, and that's, let's say Melo is setting that pick, which would be a good person to set the pick there, then Dame's got the small forward on him, and Melo can go post up the point guard. And we always talk about getting Melo better shots. That's a situation where you can ISO Melo against the point guard, and if he's aggressive, he can either, like, the point guard's going to have to foul him, or he could just turn right into the middle of the paint and shoot a little 5 to 10 footer, and that's a much better shot than some of the shots that he normally gets throughout the offense.
Yep.
And it's that simple. Just run little things, and you can still do your same post ups, your same ISOs. You can still do it out of all that, but at least try to create an advantage through one of your sets to do that, instead of just like, I don't even know what they're doing on offense half the time when Dame gets trapped. It's like I just don't get it. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, I can kind of see what they're doing here or whatever. I don't understand. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just a simplified version of it, right? That's a simplified version of some, like, just... They could run much more complex and harder to guard off-ball stuff, utilizing Dame off the ball to get him into better positions than being trapped in the half-court corner and then just denied while he's standing around, right? That's just a simplified version, but even the simplified version of using Dame off the ball showcases the difference between running him into a pick and roll near half court and then our terrible setup against that, compared to running him off an off-ball screen. You know, so... It's crazy how people want to compare those as if they're the same. I mean, I wish there was an easy... I mean, I wish... We need to start, like, somehow clipping segments and then just being able to post the clips of this. Like, just... I would love to be able to just clip that and just post it to anybody who says that argument. Because it's silly. It's absolutely silly. It's frustrating. I hate those arguments. Yeah. Anyway, did we thank Gray Hughes for the $10 dono yet?
Yeah, we got that one. We just talked about that.
I'll thank the following ones. Shout out Sprockets for a $2 message retracted donation. I don't know what he said, but the message got retracted. Appreciated those Sprockets. Shout out Andrew Miller, $5 dono. Norm had a good game, but I feel like it's a product of solo ball necessity. Dame is taken out, so Norm has to go solo. Good game for Norm, though. I 100% agree. It was a great game from Norm. But it was solo ball. Yes, it was 100% him. It was... he was attacking off the pass a lot. That's why I like with Norm is he's a guy that thrives in a ball movement offense. You know, he likes catching the ball, and he's really good at catching the ball and shooting the shot if he's open, or catching the ball and immediately attacking while the defense is coming out at him, and he's able to get by guys, and then he's able to finish strong around the rim. That was a phenomenal finish he had when he just attacked the body of the shot blocker and had that right-handed finish. I think that was in the second half there. I hope you guys know what play I'm talking about. That's a perfect example of his ability to not just be a three-point shooter, which is pretty much what Gary Trent Jr. was, but also a guy that can attack, get to the free throw line, and get to the rim.
I believe we shot at one point, it was like 21-8 free throw differential or something, and that's what kept us in the game for a long time. In our comeback, we didn't settle for threes, and a guy like Powell started taking it strong to the rim, and he got rewarded with a lot of free throws. And when your offense is struggling, you need guys like that. And I think this was hopefully a game to show that Powell, if he's aggressive like this, can really help that mentality of attacking, because he's one of the few people who did it. You saw Nas do it a little bit in garbage time, but just grab a rebound and go and attack the defense, like, before they get set up so they don't know where Dame is or whatever. Like, just hustle down the court and create some chaos or whatever. And that's also a good way to combat some of the traps, is to not just slow the ball up and have Dame dribble up and, here comes the pick and roll. Let Norman go to work. And he had some nice passes in this game as well. And I like his attacking mindset. He does... I like that he can hit threes. He shoots a high percentage on the threes, but he doesn't necessarily have to just camp out there and do that. And I feel like if all the players on this team had that mentality, we'd be better off for it.
Yep, I agree with that. Do you guys hear more static than normal? Because if it's just me, then that's completely fine. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like when you sit like that setup, sometimes there's more static through the mic. I don't know why specifically, but so I don't know a fix for that, but Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but it's not too bad, honestly. Nobody said anything about it before, so I don't know if there's anything to try to fix it. But sounds like we're by a creek, your water. Yeah, not too bad though. Maybe try, I don't know, sliding the. Oh, you fixed it. What'd you do?
Yeah. I don't know. I just moved my mic.
Okay, cool. There we go. Good job, Eric. Whatever you did, it worked.
All right.
Cool. Now we got that crystal clear audio. Yeah, so offensively, this was a frustrating game. I mean, as I said, it showcased a lot of our complaints, pretty much every complaint. You know, we score 116 points, but a lot of that is I don't know. It wasn't in a... We shoot 40% from the field. We shoot 30% from the three-point line. We're able to get to the free throw line because Norman Powell is just relentlessly attacking, and CJ's able to have some good iso ball moments, but that's not conducive for success against in a playoff series, right? And I'm gauging this team based on what they can do in a playoff series. So them playing a G League Thunder team, I'm not going to base them off that. I'm going to base them off of games like this. I'm going to base them off of games against the Milwaukee Bucks and this next game against the Utah Jazz and how they perform there. I mean, this is another game in which we've played a good team and gotten blown out. We consistently get blown out against good teams, and I think that backs up the narrative of our style of play is not conducive for playoff success, because our style of play bites us in, our style of play really hurts us when we play teams like this. It works against bad teams. We're a good team against bad teams. We're a bad team against good teams. And I think the issues are pretty obvious, and they play themselves out almost every time. I mean, we haven't even talked about the defense yet. They come out in this game, Eric, running drop scheme or switching
on Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Paul George.
You can't make that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating. Like, Paul George, they'll run a screen for him 5 feet above the three-point arc. If we run that for Dame is just getting smothered, and like his outlet is near half court, and then we have to play isolation ball. But when they run a ball screen for Paul George 30 feet away, he's able to literally just walk into a wide open three with nobody within 5 feet of him. A big issue is we don't properly teach our players how to get through screens technique-wise. Like, Damon CJ's technique on that has been awful for a long time. But then, it's like Enes Kanter is below the free throw line guarding nobody. And some people have legitimately asked, is that just like Kanter doing that, just because it's Kanter? No, that's how Stotts is defending this type of stuff. You heard Nurkic say a week or two ago in his first game back that Stotts doesn't like him playing aggressive on ball screens, but he just went rogue. Stotts likes to drop the big. And you drop the big against a guy like Paul George, and they set a good screen. You take out the guy guarding Paul George because he's dealing with the screen, and then the center is nowhere to be found. The center is below the free throw line. So you got Paul George walking into threes. And then people have the audacity to say it's a personnel issue. It doesn't make sense. What did I say, Eric, going into this game? I said we should start Harry Giles at center. He's a mobile big, and we should trap. Okay?
Giles didn't even get a chance.
Giles didn't even get a chance until garbage time. Guess what? If we started Harry Giles and then we trapped, I bet you we don't give up 47 points in the first quarter.
Considering I think that was a record for the Blazers, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have been possible to be any worse than that.
I mean, come on, man. It's like I saw this coming. The Clippers exploit drop scheme better than any team in the league as far as I'm concerned. It isn't a surprise that the first time we played them, they absolutely crushed us too. Let me actually find that game and that box score.
Hey, Tori, we had Sunday and Monday off too. Mm-hmm. We had 2 days to implement a game plan against them. And, oh, by the way, we're playing the Jazz next game, the Clippers are the best three-point shooting team in the league. Utah is right behind them in second place. Do you think we could have maybe designed a game plan to for both of these games to take away the 3-point shot or something? Like,
Yeah,
no.
I mean, like without having Nurkic and Kanter's been playing off the bench, it's like just start Giles. Just give it a chance. Giles hit 3 threes in a row last game. I know it was in garbage time, but I don't know. Maybe start him. Maybe he'll come out with some confidence. Playing next to Dame, CJ, and Norman Powell might get him some clean looks, and he has offensive talent, and he can pass a little bit. But don't even start him for the offense. We got to be able to defend. The first, where's this game? Let me find it here. We lost to them on December 30th, 2020 by a score of 128 to 105. Okay, they scored 37 points in the first quarter, 39 points in the second quarter, right? That was with Yusuf Nurkic, by the way. So, maybe it's not we just need Nurkic thing. I don't know. So they had 76 points, I think. Yeah, 76 points in the first half. The first time we played them, they had 71 points in the first half tonight. That is, you combine those two halves, that is 147 points, Eric, over the course of 2 first halves that we've played against the Clippers. That's basically over the course of 48 minutes. That is real bad. And it's like they come out and they're just getting absolutely crushed and there's no adjustment, you know? It's like, yeah, sure, okay, start Kanter, right? He's better than Giles, yada, yada. Okay, cool. Start Kanter. But it's like when they come out and they can't miss and we can't defend them, sub in Giles and start trap and start blitz and try something else. The fact that we don't do that is just absolutely insane to me. Like, people think Giles is a bad defender because we'll run drop scheme and Giles won't really be impactful with that, but he's a mobile big. He can trap, he can hedge, okay? He knows how to do those things, and he's mobile enough to do those things. So do that. Trap pick and rolls on Paul George, get the ball out of his hands, make a guy like Pat Beverly beat you. Instead, we let Paul George get a rhythm because we're dropping the big, and then he starts hitting contested shots too, and it's because we let him build a rhythm because he's able to walk off a screen into a wide open 3. So defensively, we just came out in this game and just did exactly what I was expecting, Eric, and ran drop scheme, which is terrible against this team, and if we play this team in the playoffs, we have absolutely no chance of beating them if that's what we're going to run against them. And then when, there's other times where we just lazily switch, which is probably just as bad. You get Kanter switched out. That's also the other reason is if we have Giles out there and we switch, he at least has a chance to keep up with a Paul George or Kawhi Leonard on the perimeter. Kanter has no chance out there when we switch. But that's the other thing we do. We just lazily switch, and that is our defense. And sure, our defense personnel isn't good, and it helps having Nurkic, right? It would help to have Nurkic in there. But that's not the issue when we come out running drop scheme against a team that absolutely crushes drop scheme. And has already done it this year when we had Nurkic. It's not a personnel issue. It's this whole entire game is 100% schematical issues, X and O's issues that will bite us in the butt come playoff time.
And all we get is excuses like you can't change it now. It's too late in the season to do anything about it.
Why can't you change it now? What's the downside? Because right now the upside is we're probably a first round exit. I don't know how to have faith in this team going up in the first round against a team like Denver or either of the LA teams or Phoenix or Utah when we can't be a good team. Our most impressive win this entire year, other than Philadelphia, who's a good matchup for us because you can run drop scheme against them, our most impressive win, other than Philly, is Dallas. Freaking Dallas. The last game we played against Dallas, they beat us by 40, by the way. But that's our most impressive win. We have not proven anything. Lakers, no, this year.
Yeah.
This year. There's a reason why I'm saying this year, right? Yeah. I don't care what happened game 3, the Lakers had a very short off season, just won a championship. That's our most complete defensive game was, all the way back in 2020, right? Our most impressive win this year, other than Philly, is Dallas. We're in April of 2021. I don't know how to have faith in this team going into the first round exit. So that whole narrative that you hear and I hear about, you can't switch things up now. it's almost like we got to switch things up now because with the course we're on, we can't beat a good team. And if you can't beat a good team, you're not going to make it out of the first round. So what's the downside of switching things up? Why can't you switch things up?
And to that point, so Giles didn't come in with the second unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who was our backup center?
It was Rocco, Mello,
whoever.
Yeah.
You're playing a forward at center, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why are we having trouble at the perimeter when we don't even have Cantor in the game if it's Cantor's fault or it's personnel's fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like why are we still not defensively, at least on the perimeter? You could maybe give up a bunch of offensive rebounds because you have a small lineup, or you could get attacked by a big man inside or whatever. That's not what's happening, though. We're still getting beat on the perimeter with, like, basically 5 wings on the floor with our second unit. It makes no sense to me. Like, we're still having these problems because of the way we just, like, sag off these picks and we don't get aggressive at all on them. And that's the frustrating part. And it's like, if we would have trapped and they would have scored like 40 points a quarter, like, who cares? We gave up almost 40 points a quarter anyway. So, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, just do something different. Try different things out, especially when you're down like 20-some points. Like, then get aggressive and trap every screen. Like, just fly around on defense. Do something. But our offense is just – and our defense is just so – it's just like, oh, sit back and watch them do whatever they want. And then, oh, no, he's driving right at me. He's got like 10 feet of space before he gets to me. What am I supposed to do? Oh, he just went right around me because I'm stuck in mud here, just waiting for him to come right at me. It's just so pathetic, and I don't understand. Like, these guys, NBA players, want to be aggressive on defense. They don't want to just stand there and do nothing. They want to trap. They want to get the ball out of the best player on the opposing team's hands. Like, they don't want to just stand there and watch him shoot threes or drive to the basket every time. I just, like, you can teach these players how to be better on the defensive end against these screens. And it's just, I have no confidence that it's going to happen because we've been pointing this out at least since Aldridge left, since I've known you, like, that this has been a problem with these teams, is that these guards aren't even taught how to get through screens. They often widen their stance, so they get picked off too easily. We've shown plays in the past where, like, CJ and Dame get picked without even the screener being 5 feet, like, close to them. Like, they just have to pretend they're going to come set a screen, and we, like, switch for some reason without even trying to fight through it or getting back or whatever. And it's just, I just don't understand. If you hear, like, stuff like the Quick article where it's like Stotts is just constantly harping on defense. Like, well, obviously you're harping or doing the wrong things. Like, try a different approach for once. Like, do something differently. And if not, bring in someone who knows what they're doing on that end and get them involved with some of your game plans. Let them try to come up with some X and O's things to make a difference. And don't give me this crap that a team can't switch up their schemes halfway through the season. You know why? Because we did it during Houston last year. Against Houston, we ran a diamond and won, and it was great. We completely took Harden out of a game. We completely shut them down. Have we game planned for a single team since then? I don't think so. I don't recall a single game plan where our defense, like, was completely different for another team. Against every other team, it's like, oh, let's just run our basic defense and see what happens this game. And that's not right. Every single game, every single team, every single player you play against has to have a different scheme and assignment, and coverages and help side rotations have to be set. And you hear Gary Trent say, oh, yeah, I come to Toronto, and they're so locked in on their help defense, and the coaching staff is so good at letting you know what your assignments are, and they give you a complete picture in that area and stuff like that. And that's so frustrating for me to hear these things. And like, I know we had Nurkic out tonight, but like, listen to Nurk too. Nurk's telling I was sitting on the bench. This is Nurk's words. I was sitting on the bench I noticed our lack of effort and aggression in this scheme. I was saying to myself, I'm going to come in and be aggressive and blow these screens up and stuff like that. And then so he does it for like a game, and then it seems like he's been told not to do that anymore because he hasn't really done it much since that game where he mentioned those things. And it's just, I don't get it. Why is Stotts not trying to do different things?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it either. Let me kind of show clip.
Get Andrew Miller's other donation real quick.
Okay. Where's that?
$5 donation from Andrew Miller says, one more, guys, maybe. LOL. I do not think this team will be competitive in the playoffs, no matter how well we finish. Pelicans deja vu. Thoughts?
I mean, these are our thoughts on what we'll do in the playoffs. I mean, I thought this game was pretty indicative of, what will happen in the playoffs. This is how it goes in the playoffs for us. Appreciate the dono, Andrew Miller. Let me showcase the second half. We started playing a little bit more aggressively in terms of defending the pick and roll. So, Paul George comes off first half, and we're kind of dropping the big back here, and he's walking into this three wide open, bang. Okay, the second half, we bring Canner up, but to here, so he can still shoot this three if he wants, but then it's even harder for Canner to protect the rim, right? So you're not taking away the three, but now you're not even taking away the rim, and you're also not close enough to... He's also not angling to cut off a side, because if Canner comes up here, at least you're forcing him baseline, and then maybe you have an angle to meet him at the rim, right? But if you're stuck here flat-footed, not going, not shading one direction... Not only can you pull up, but it's a lot harder to contain the drive, and you don't have a good angle to meet him at the rim, no matter which way he goes. So, it's like I see a tweet from Mike Richmond basically saying the Blazers are playing more aggressive defensively, and I kind of dislike it because it's almost as if the tweet is saying, well, they're trying to play more aggressive defense, and it's still not working. See, it doesn't work, and, maybe that isn't the intent, but it's almost like that seems what it is. But instead, it's like... it's still basically dropping the big to me. They call it something else. It's called a soft show, but it's still functioning in the same way as dropping the big would, where you're still giving up these threes where he's walking off the screen, but you're also, it's even worse than dropping. It's literally the worst thing to probably do with Enes Kanter in the game is to soft show. Because you're giving up the three, and then it's much harder for him to attack the rim. But here's the thing that I'm confused about, right? Here's how you could defend this, right? As like a soft show. Like soft show in play up on this side, and then your help side rotations would basically be something along these lines where... let's put this point guard in this corner, because that's a more normal floor setup. You shade him here, but then this guy is, 1 foot in the paint. And then if he drives, you have this guy rotate over. And then if he kicks out here, you have this guy rotate. If he kicks here, you have this guy that caught up on the screen rotate. You get Canner back to the big man, right? And that's a way you can guard it. That's called icing the screen, right? And you're a lot more likely to contain dribble penetration because... Kanter is essentially walling off on one side. You're able to bring him up a little bit more. Now he might get beat baseline. You honestly have to expect that, but this guy is 1 foot in the paint. That's what this guy's job is, where if Kanter gets beat this way, this guy can step in and you kind of collapse right here, and then you rotate according to where the ball is kicked, right? That's where the defensive rotations come in. Or you could bring Canner up a little bit more and have him shade here and have this guy go under the screen and hope Canner can come up high enough to defend this three. You're giving up middle, but if this guy goes under the screen, hopefully this guy can meet him if he goes middle, right? And you collapse here. And then maybe the center rolls, but Canner can recover to him. And you shut it down that way. So there's ways other than hedging or trapping where you can have Canner be enough of a factor to take away that three, but then also hopefully contain him just getting blown by and getting to the rim. But instead, we come out with our more aggressive pick and roll defense there in the second half, and it's literally just Cantor soft showing without shading to either side. You got Paul George coming off here. Cantor still isn't high enough to take away this three, but then also he's flat-footed and not shading to either side. And then if Paul George goes this way, this help isn't here. This help for some reason isn't even here. And if he goes baseline, this help isn't here. You don't have any sort of game plan for, okay, we're going to soft show Cantor, and then this is where the help's going to be. And if there is a game plan, it's being terribly executed, which I think is also an indictment of the coaching staff, not being able to get the players to execute basic defensive principles, right? So just it's like we come out more aggressive, and Mike Richmond knows that, but it's not a better scheme. I can come up with numerous better ideas. Sub in Giles, have him trap, have him hedge, or have Cantor help up on this side, or have him help up on this side and go under. There's so many things they can do, but their idea of more aggressive is just, oh, let's not drop him, let's just bring him up here and then see what happens.
And if Cantor just plays up like that, he's kind of dropping, but kind of not. Mm-hmm. You have to have that guard or wing fight through the pick faster then. They have to get through that pick. If they don't, that's the problem. They just die on that pick, and they don't get through fast enough, and then they get the center seals them behind him, so they're trailing the center, rolling to the hoop, and then the ball handler is also going at Cantor, so Cantor has to guard basically two players, because if they throw a lob, the wing can't defend the lob against the center, and if the wing gets by Cantor, he's got to lay in. So and then we overhelp from the corner on the strong side, so the point guard would overhelp in that situation, and then they just kick it out to a wide open three there, which happened a couple times tonight. Yep. It's just too easy unless you're fighting aggressively through the picks faster, and until that happens, it's not going to change.
Yeah, at this point, this small forward gets caught on the center's back. He's basically not even a part of the play, right? With the center rumbling to the rim, that's just a lob over the top. He's not going to be able to stop that. So you can completely take him out of play there. Let's not take him out. There we go. So it's essentially a 1-on-2 with this big. When this guy helps, oftentimes they'll skip to this corner, and this guy won't rotate. That's a problem with our rotations, so that's a wide open three. Or this guy won't help at all, and Cantor's stuck in a 1-on-2. And they just lob it over the top. Clint Capella, when we played the Hawks, a lot of times had this. DeAndre Ayton, when we played the Suns, had this a lot of times. Or this guy will help, which is just terrible. You do not want to help off, a corner shooter from the strong side, because literally it's just a kick-out pass. He's not able to even get anywhere close enough to make this a more difficult shot. This is completely wide open and bucket. So it's like this guy, he can also just oftentimes pull up and shoot this, and this is open. So it's like a lot of times we'll give up. This will be open. This lob will be open. This guy could pull up here and will be open. This guy will overhelp and this will be open. Or oftentimes nobody will help and this guy could just beat him to the rim. It's like they have literally anything they want to do because of the way we guard the pick and roll. Anything. And good teams exploit this and know what to do against it.
Yep. So I just saw a clip from the Stotts.
Oh no!
I don't even know if they're gonna post it, but I'm so mad.
Yeah. What was the clip? Because I know chat will want to know.
So Stotts was asked about asked a question about how they fail to respond to when Dame gets trapped, and his answer was exactly what I've been telling you guys. We scored 66 points, so I'm not worried about the offense. That was his answer to the trap. This guy does not know what he's doing. He has done nothing to help Dame get out of these situations. We have no hope as long as he is our coach. This guy, it's inexcusable, dude. Like, you cannot have that kind of answer and this kind of approach to coaching to where, oh, it'll be fine. We scored this many points. This is exactly what I said. We score that many points because we have great scorers. It's not because you're some sort of offensive genius. And why not make it easier on these guys? I just don't get it. Why we have done nothing to fix our problems against good teams. And you can say all you want. Like, I know people will say, especially the guys who blame Olshey, that this personnel isn't good enough to win a championship. And to that, I'll say, but we're not even giving this team a chance to show its true potential if that's our approach from our coaching staff. And that's what frustrates me the most. I'm not saying that they'd for sure win a title with another team or with another coach, because, I mean, chances are they wouldn't. Only one team wins a title, whatever. But, like, the fact that we know sitting here right now with over 20 games left in the season that this is going to happen in the playoffs, and our coach won't have an answer for it. And this is the same thing that's happening on defense too. So it's not just the offense, and just like, we're not doing anything differently on defense either, even though we've been historically bad the last 2 years. So, like, I have no faith in it changing, and it's just frustrating that we know right now that these things are not going to improve, and unless we get some sort of superhuman performances out of our ISO scores and just outscore teams in the playoffs, despite struggling with traps and stuff like that we have no chance of winning a playoff series.
Yeah, to me, it's absolutely crazy how Stotts can't objectively distinguish between things that go well on the offensive end and things that go poorly on the offensive end in a game. For him, it's literally, we scored 116 points, so there is no issue. But you look at it, we shoot 30% from three, only 40% from the field. Now, we had 14 offensive rebounds, so that helped us score 116 points. But it's like he can't, I don't know, and I guess it's just his answer, but the way he coaches makes me feel like he can't look any deeper than, oh, well, we scored 116 points, that's good enough, there's nothing we need to work on offensively. It's like he can't distinguish between, oh, Norman Powell had it going, attacking one-on-one, CJ hit some really tough shots one-on-one, so that was good, those guys were playing well, but we did a bad job responding to the trap, so if we can improve that, that'll give us a higher floor and a higher ceiling on the offensive end, Like, every game you can take away an area on both sides of the ball where the team struggled. The team will never play a perfect game. No team will ever play a perfect game. You can focus on areas where you struggle offensively in a game that you score 120 points, because we've had a lot of games where we've scored 120 points due to just pure one-on-one talent, but we haven't gotten necessarily good shots or good looks or good opportunities, or we get a bunch of offensive rebounds and don't shoot the ball well, but still due to the offensive boards we're able to get 120 points. That's why I hate that answer, because I don't know how you see what we did against the trap and think we're handling the trap well, and his whole logical process there that we scored enough to make it where it didn't matter how we handled the trap, and he's not worried about how we handled the trap because we scored points. That's just absolutely ridiculous to me. That's not what a good coach does. A good coach would notice how we struggled getting Dame any sort of clean look, and how we struggled with the trap today. We struggled to get good shots. We hit a lot of difficult shots, and Norman Powell was able to get to the free throw line a bunch attacking. It's just crazy to me how he either can't notice that it's a problem, or he's too stubborn to notice it's a problem. Either way, neither of those are acceptable for me. And it's just crazy how it's like, when it comes to trapping, right, we can have everything go wrong on a trapping play and give up a bucket, and he's just like, well, we tried trapping and they got an open three. But then when it comes to our base defense, he will make every excuse in the book for it. Basically, it comes down to this. He has his way that he likes to do things, and if that isn't working, he will find an excuse for it, or write it off as no big deal. But then if it does work, it'll be, we're heading in the right direction, we like where we are, yada, 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 all this talk. Basically, he only wants to do his things his way, and any other way, he will try and find an issue with it or a flaw with it. But when it comes to his way, he will ignore any sort of issue there is. And that's how it goes. Basically, he's way too stubborn and way too stuck in his ways to be a head coach of a team trying to contend in the NBA.
Yep. So the people saying, well, Olshey is in charge of hiring and firing the coach, right? So shouldn't he take the blame for having Stotts as his coach? And I agree to an extent, but we saw or heard Olshey say specifically this summer that Stotts needs to be better. I got the personnel. The schemes need to be better. And now maybe we have the injury excuse again this year, like, which sucks. But we heard Olshey change his tune. This is the first year we've actually heard him say that. I think Olshey got sick of being blamed for all these things that he felt like Stotts could be better at. And he laid down the gauntlet. And every time he spoke, I feel like he has continued to reiterate that this needs to improve or you're gone. So that's the only thing I will say is that Olshey gave Stotts credit for everything he's done up until this point. But last year, he definitely started to notice some coaching things. And then this year, he starts to demand better from him, and it's not happening. So, so they need he's gone. I think if we continue to play like this against good teams, I don't see any way he keeps his job after this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just disappointing because all these things are things that shouldn't be as big of issues as they are at this point. And like my frustration comes from a point of like disappointment, and just like I'm just very confused as to how a lot of these issues are such big issues and aren't showing any signs of getting better. I think that this team, I mean, you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. We're not giving ourselves the best chance for success. And we're almost shooting ourselves in the foot with the way we play and the way we scheme and, a lot of our issues that should not be as big of issues as they are. So that's frustrating for me because I want this team to win. I want this team to contend. I want this team to compete at the highest level. And I want, if that's not the case, I at least just want to give this team the best chance to do that, and maybe they fall short, but at least we give ourselves the best chance. I don't believe we're doing that, and that's where my frustration comes from. That's where you get people screaming, "You're so negative." But, I mean, I'm so negative, but I believe in this roster more than most people. I believe in these players more than most people. I'm not as negative towards Olshey as most people. One funny meme, aside from that. But, yeah, I don't know, like a lot of my opinions are more positive than other people. My whole thing is just we're not giving ourselves the best chance due to the way we are coached. That's the only issue I have right now with things, Sure, the roster can get better. It's not perfect. Sure, there's some changes I'd want to make this offseason. But right now, as it stands, we have a good roster. Olshey, I think, has been a really good GM the past year or so. And I think he, is willing to trade CJ if the package is right. The package just isn't right. Some people will criticize him while also calling us negative, but they'll criticize him because we didn't trade CJ for Aaron freaking Gordon. It's just very confusing to me, the discourse around this whole entire team and situation. It's confusing how one half of Blazers Twitter hates the other half because they can't stand that the other half thinks this team is more capable than how they're playing, while the half that's more positive is saying you should be happy with 30-20 against bad teams. No, we think this team can be better, and we see a lot of issues that could be fixed, that aren't being fixed, that should be being fixed. So it's very frustrating. That's where my frustration stems from.
Andrew Miller with the $5 donation, he says, if you could ask Stotts one unfiltered question, what would it be, assuming he would answer honestly?
That's a great question. Eric, do you have something off the top of your mind?
I think I would ask him why he thinks like one base system works against every team, or what he's seeing in that system to want to keep running it out game after game.
Yeah. I mean, I would ask him why, when he has more mobile bigs in the game, why is he so against trapping and hedging?
I already know the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Sorry, we trapped 3 times tonight and it didn't work 2 out of the 3 times. Why would we continue to do it?
I mean, but it's like,
I'm just kidding.
yeah, I don't know.
But
That's not,
that
not
is
that's
that
not.
is
See, he said Stotts would answer, and honestly, I feel like that's not an honest answer.
right.
Because
Right.
like, okay, well, be honest about your normal defense that you run, because that certainly hasn't been working all season long. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, there's so many things you could ask.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to even pick one. That's a phenomenal question. Kyle's question would be, what the what? I like Kyle's question. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to know like why, because he gets the smart ass answers when it's like, oh yeah, Dwight, you come watch film with me. I'll show you all the time we blitzed, and then Dwight shows every highlight of a certain player. I forgot what game that was, but someone scored like 32 points on us, and Dwight posted the highlight thing. He's like, okay, Terry, show me where you blitzed on any of these baskets he made, and and there wasn't any blitzes, and there wasn't that entire game, and Stotts was just talking out of his ass. But yeah, it's just like stuff like that. I would call him on and be like against Boston, in that post game show in the bubble when he's like, "Oh, we tried trapping and it didn't work," and it's like, "Well, Dame fell down and your backside rotation was off, and you helped with the wrong guy and all that stuff. So how is that a good indication that trap wouldn't work?" And then I would want him to like actually break it down and say like, because if you were good enough X's and O's wise, which like I don't know if I could handle that in a one-on-one situation or not, but like if you and I were both there, I mean, like I don't know what he would possibly say to that other than, oh, you know what, I'm wrong. Like they fell down, so maybe we should have tried this again or something like that. If he was being completely honest. If not, he'd probably make up something about how it hasn't worked in other situations too, or whatever.
I
But
mean, honestly, an X's and O's conversation, I think I could hang in the conversation
mhm.
because, but some people, oh well, you think you're so much smarter than you are. That'd be the response to that. But it's like I've studied basketball to try and understand it at a high level. You know what I mean? I've tried to learn the game as much as I possibly can. So yeah, I'm confident in my knowledge because I've tried to become as knowledgeable about the game as possible. A lot of people aren't willing to spend that time or don't care to spend that time to really try and learn about the game. And I'm not even saying this from a perspective of, oh, I played, right? Because you can never play organized basketball, but you could learn the game to an extent where you understand the X's and O's of things at the highest level, right? It just comes down to X's and O's. Like it's not rocket science, and I've played, but I've also tried to just take it on from the viewpoint of there's a lot that I didn't learn playing that I could learn just by, watching hours of coaching clinics from high-level coaches. That's the reason I like Ettore Messina as a coach, simply because of what I've seen in him recording coaching clinics and going in depth on a lot of things he would teach an NBA team or coach an NBA team on. So I would love to have an X's and O's conversation. It would likely become him being defensive, most likely, just like he is with the media, but I don't know. It'd be interesting because there's just so many things that I'm just baffled on that don't make sense to me. And yeah, it'd be curious to actually truly get some sort of reasoning for that.
I got that one tonight. What exactly is your basketball resume to make comments like this? It's like, dude, okay. Like people try to tell me like you're out here trying to tell everyone that it's your way or the highway, and I'm like, dude, you're literally projecting what you want me to be telling people. I don't care if you agree with me or not. I watch the games, I watch the play, I posted a play. I say how I feel about this play or how I feel about our defense in the first quarter or whatever. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm 1,000% right on everything. I'm just giving my opinion. And people can agree with that or not, but it's so frustrating because like they just try to discredit you because you're not a coach or you're not a front office executive or something. And it's stupid because like, I mean, we watch basketball, we know the game. Obviously, I would hope that most of the people watching right now can recognize that we're not just out here saying fire Stotts, fire Stotts, fire Stotts. Like, we've given hundreds and hundreds of hours of explanations and like breaking down exactly why we feel this way.
Eric,
and
you know what's funny is today I got called the Skip Bayless of Blazers Twitter by some random guy, and Travis Demers liked that. So I guess Travis Demers, who's a radio guy, by the way, also agrees that I'm the Skip Bayless of Blazers Twitter. Bro, I have given more basketball reasoning in this stream as to why I feel the way I do, like legitimate basketball reasoning based on the X's and O's and things that happen on the court. I've done more of that in this stream than Skip Bayless has done in his entire career. In his entire 20-year career. I don't know how long he's been there. He's been here a long time. I don't know how I'm Skip Bayless, man. Like, and my whole response to him was like, you can dislike me for my opinions. I don't care. Cool. I'm not going to take that personally. I think it's kind of weird that you would dislike me simply because I don't agree with the X's and O's that this team, that this coach employs, but, so be it. And you can diss me too. But if you're going to diss me, don't make it that far off, because I think I'm the exact opposite. I try and back up everything I say. I'm not just a hot take guy just here spewing hot takes. I wouldn't have the viewership I do, because anybody can come on a camera and make hot takes. Anybody can go on Twitter and make hot takes. I would not have 177, or I'm at 170 viewers right now at 11 p.m. at night. I would not have that if I just came on here and made hot takes. I feel like I have the viewership I do because I come in here and you come in here as well, Eric, and we do a good job breaking things down. So that was funny. That's the funniest diss I think I've ever gotten, that I'm the Skip Bayless of Blazers Twitter. I guess
he just says stupid crap to get attention. Like, if we were like that, we'd be like, there was another person today with the Lynch Stotts comments, which is completely unacceptable. Tori and I both completely think that's wrong, and we do not agree with anyone who says that kind of stuff on Twitter, just for the record. But like, we're not out here doing crap like that. We're not posting every 5 seconds, fire Stotts, fire Stotts, fire Stotts, hashtag fire Stotts. Neither of us has that in our bio or our tagline or whatever. And it's just, it drives me crazy. I thought you had a good tweet earlier. I'm trying to find it. You retweeted and tweeted so much tonight that it's
felt like I was pretty on fire today, to be honest.
Yeah, but it was let me find it. I can't find it, but it was something about like how, like, it was something about the personnel. It's like, if you don't think if you think personnel is the problem, why can't I think it's not, or whatever, It's like, why do people come at you for like bringing up points that you think are correct, and like, why can't, I mean, it's possible that both people are correct. It's just so dumb. Like, I don't understand why people come at us so much about like our opinions. Like, we're just stating our opinions and we try to back it up.
Was it this tweet where I said, crazy how half of Blazers Twitter hates the other half because they don't accept having a historically bad defense is simply a personnel issue? Y'all can say our players are absolute trash defensively, but why hate me because I don't think that's the case? Crazy. That's how it is, man. It's like, people hate me because I think we're more capable than they act like we are, and we're being held back with X's and O's. Like, why hate me for that? Like, how am I just such a super negative person for that? Because I don't think this roster is trash. It's confusing to me. I mean, maybe it's because I voice my frustrations, but it's just like, I watch every game and it's like, I feel like we're being held back because of what we do, X's and O's wise. And I feel like we're capable of more, whereas other people just think we're destined to be trash, so they don't get frustrated with it. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how things play out in my head.
As long as we have CJ next to Dame, there's no chance any coach could ever do anything, right?
That's basically a narrative too. Oh my.
So Andrew Miller is absolutely killing it tonight. Another $20 donation. He says, "You don't have to have basketball playing experience to have an opinion. Anyone who watches the Blazers knows Stotts is terrible. I can shoot, but rode the bench for my high school team. I love basketball." Yep. And anyone can learn. I mean, I hope you guys learn some stuff from us when Tori breaks out the clipboard and stuff like that. I hope you guys, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, like Tori said, there's tons of great things on the internet to learn plays or why certain players run certain schemes or what the different defensive sets are called and things like that. There's all kinds of stuff you can look up and become knowledgeable on your own. You can, and obviously not right now, but in normal times, there's coaching clinics you can go to or like camps and things like that. Like there's all kinds of things you can do to expand your knowledge of the game. And it's just dumb that people would question that because I didn't know anyone associated with an NBA front office, so I never got a chance to become a GM or whatever. Like, I'm sure there's millions of people out there that could do a better job than a lot of the coaches or GMs in the league. They just will never, ever get a chance to prove that either way.
Yep. So H4H4 deserves, or H4H deserves minutes says, "It's just valid criticism from Tori and Eric. Some people want the man dead. Like, bro, stop sending him death threats." I assume that means sending Stotts death threats. And you know what's crazy to me? Okay, let me just rant about this real quick. I despise Pinwheel Empire. I despise Pinwheel Empire. Because me and you have gone on Twitter and called that stuff out. Me and you have gone on air at the start of a stream when it was really bad one night and spent 20 minutes right off the top of our stream calling that type of stuff out. Some of this, just abhorrent stuff that's said about Stotts. If you don't know what we're talking about, that's probably for the better. If you do know if you are on Twitter and you've probably seen it if you're a member of Blazers Twitter. But we've called it out and we hold it accountable. And most people that don't really like the coaching of this team have a problem when people, post Stotts' address or, says like things about hoping Stotts will die or something, that type of stuff, which is just terrible because it's not a personal thing. It's not something you should ever say about anyone. Like, it's unacceptable behavior, right? And most people that don't like the coaching speak out against that type of thing that's said about Stotts, right? But you have Pinwheel Empire that tweets out, there are so many toxic people in that group being the anti-Stotts group, and Pinwheel Empire goes on to say, sad thing is, most of the other Stotts haters stay silent when they see that type of behavior. Because that's just absolutely not true. They block.
Well, it's true to them because they block all of us and so they never see it, so then they think that we're silent when we're not.
It's just absolutely scummy. They're basically taking a couple bad apples that are saying bad things about Stotts that we call out, but then they're using that to try and make us and other people like us look bad when we speak out against it as much as we can. You know what I mean? That's just how Pinwheel Empire is. They want to be divisive. They're scummy. I don't respect them in their Twitter page whatsoever because for them, that's not a thing between right and wrong for them. They're trying to use what a couple bad apples say to make a whole group of people look bad as if we're all sending them death threats when we speak out against it. It's just ridiculous. You're literally over a difference of opinion basically trying to make people look bad in regards to a moral issue because it's just bad morals if you're out there sending death threats, any sort of that type of thing. I hate that. I've never liked them. They are scummy. I've heard a number of bad things that I'm not even going to say publicly or on air about them, but I've heard a number of bad things from other people who are pretty known in the community, right? I'm not going to say anybody specifically, but I've heard a lot of bad things about them. I've seen a lot of bad things about them. Basically, if you don't like the coaching, they will try and make you look as bad as possible. They will insult you. They will try and make you out to be just a terrible person, right? That's what this tweet is doing. And it's just a pattern of behavior from them that I just don't respect. They have me blocked, right? Because they can't handle anybody that doesn't think Stotts is just a magician. But if they didn't have me blocked, I ain't following them. I ain't liking anything they say. I just because they're scummy. And that's honestly one of the reasons why, I'm just going to be straight up honest. That's one of the reasons why I'm not super cool with True Blazer Fan, even though I used to make content there, is because True Blazer Fan he doesn't do any of that stuff, right? He's a better person than that. But anybody that associates themselves with that page is associating themselves with the toxicity that page brings. I don't associate myself with anybody that sends, death threats to Terry Stotts or does that type of stuff. I specifically disassociate myself from that type of stuff because I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that sort of toxicity. So honestly, the main reason why I don't follow True Blazer Fan, I don't really like True Blazer Fan, is because they associate themselves with Pinwheel Empire. It's just, don't associate yourself with toxicity. Call it out. Be good people. Don't try and hold something one person says over another entire group of people, especially when you have them blocked and can't even see what they're saying in regards to it anyways. It's just so silly. It's so stupid. I'm over it, man.
Yeah, that's what they did to both of us. They block us. They did this to Dwight James too. They block him, and then they all talk crap about him now that he's blocked or whatever. And I got blocked for saying, "Why don't you tag Dwight in this if you're going to talk crap about him?" And they blocked me for it. And then they blocked you around the same time and started talking crap about you. It just okay. And the other thing is, so that night too, where they first got the death threats, there was someone doing it that participated in our mock-off season that you and I both had been associated or had, interacted with for almost over a year now, because that was back at the beginning of this whole thing. And, they were someone who has been kind of an OG on this channel and all that kind of stuff. And we both blocked him. I don't talk to him at all. I don't want to see any of his posts ever again. He's begging to get back into the group chat or whatever. And no, I will not be a part of it if he's ever a part of it again. And
I'm the same way. And a lot of people are the same way.
Yep. And we do not associate ourselves with people like that. And I see all these people. I was the type of person who didn't really block anyone, but lately I've been blocking anyone who wishes injury on another player or death upon another player or person. Those people are getting insta-blocked and reported and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so, but Eric, it's if you have people that say terrible things blocked, then it's a you problem because you're not saying anything against them because you can't see it. Yep. Bruh, how many people have probably blocked the people that say those terrible things? So to sit back and say, oh yeah, they're not saying anything about, bro, a lot of people might have them blocked for that very reason, because they don't want to see that type of stuff because they don't agree with it. It's just fishing to try and make people look bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, so good old Blazers Twitter.
I've heard the rest of the Stotts interview is just horrible.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I don't want to react to that. We've been keeping our streams generally shorter. I think this has been a great stream so far. Let's go around the NBA real quick and hit the standings before we sign off here. The Bulls beat the Pacers 113-97. There's the ESPN autoplay. Shut up. Vucevic had 32 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists. Karis LeVert had 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. The Hawks beat the Pelicans by 16, 123-107. The Hawks made 11 out of 11 threes in a quarter. That was a franchise record for them for most threes made in a quarter without a miss. I think it was a franchise record. It might have been an NBA record, actually. Oh, yeah, it was an NBA record. It says right here. Hawks set an NBA record for most threes in a quarter without a miss with 11 tonight. So they were on fire against the Pelicans. The Pelicans fall to 22 and 28. Hawks are 27 and 24. They changed their coach mid-season. Would you look at that? They got better.
I thought that wasn't possible.
Yeah, Portlandia said that wasn't possible, but would you look at that? The Hawks replaced Lloyd Pierce with Nate McMillan. Lloyd Pierce is also a Stotts supporter. Interesting. Yeah, would you look at that? They improved. They've been much better under Nate McMillan, believe it or not. The 76ers beat the Celtics 106-96. Joel Embiid had 35.6 rebounds. Jason Tatum had 20 points to go for the Celtics. Celtics are 25 and 26, a game below 500. 76ers are 19 games above 500, 35 and 16 for them. The Lakers, unfortunately, beat the Raptors. There was a scuffle in this one involving OG Anunoby, Montrezl Harrell, and Gary Trent Jr. It was a very confusing situation. It looked like Dennis Schroeder fouled OG hard, but then tried to keep him from falling by holding him up. But then OG Anunoby was holding him back and then grabbed his legs and set him down on the floor. And then Gary Trent Jr. comes out of nowhere and is just mixing it up. Go watch that scuffle after the stream if you're interested. It was a very funny situation.
I don't want anyone to get hurt in those situations, but I kind of like conflict, and I wish the NBA just had a little more of that, where teams get into it and hate each other. I like seeing which players step up for who and who has each other's back. And I think that's the type of thing that I'm not hoping for this for the Blazers, but something like that can bring a team together and kind of just get that little grit that they need. So yeah, it would be I kind of like that every once in a while to see some teams not like each other.
Yeah, I agree with that. So the Lakers unfortunately get the win against the Raptors 110-101. The Grizzlies beat the Heat 124-112. Dillon Brooks had 28 points for the Grizzlies. Bam Adebayo had an 18-point, 10-rebound, 10-assist triple-double for the Heat in their loss. The Nuggets beat the Pistons 134-119, so they gained some separation on us today. Weirdly, ESPN is showing the Pistons' record is 5-16 and the Nuggets' record is 13-8. That's a glitch on ESPN.com, but the Nuggets are now a game ahead of us. I believe we will look at the standings in a second. They had 27 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds from Jokic, and former Denver Nugget Jeremy Grant, going against his old team, had 29 points, 5 boards, and 4 assists. The Warriors beat the Bucks by 122-121. That is a good win for the Warriors. They beat a good Bucks team. Steph Curry had 41 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. I think, Giannis did not play in this one, so obviously it was a depleted Bucks team. Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton both had good games, but they could not get the job done. Hey, Thanasis Antetokounmpo has actually been okay lately, man. He had 20 minutes tonight and scored 10 points in 20 minutes. So he tried to step up for Giannis being out. Didn't result in a win, but he's been okay-ish lately, surprisingly. That's cool to see. That was the last game other than ours. We lost 133-116. So standing-wise, were you about to say something?
I'll get to it in a second.
Okay, let's hop through these standings. We are only a game and a half ahead of the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks are 7th. We're 6th. We are actually 1.5 games back of the Lakers for 5th. We're actually 2 games back of the Nuggets for 4th, so I was wrong on that. We are now 3 games behind the Clippers for 3rd, and we don't have a clean path to the tiebreaker. I don't know if we play them 2 more times, but we're already down 2-0 in the head-to-head series. So we could have been 1 game back with a potential tiebreaker over them, 1 game back of 3rd, but instead we are 3 games back of 3rd with likely they're going to have the tiebreakers. So we are shooting ourselves in the foot when it comes to playoff positioning at this point in time. We are 4.5 games behind the Suns for 2nd, 8 games behind the Jazz for 1st. Of course, the Jazz is our next opponent. So these margins could grow a little bit more unfavorably for us as we face another good team, which for this Blazers team this season spells doom.
Yep. It's got to stay ahead of the Mavericks, so that's...
I mean, yeah. honestly, like, if we get the 7th or 8th seed, it's not terrible. Like, honestly, I like our chances against the Suns and
But you have to play the
the...
playing game first.
Yeah, I mean... But if they play themselves out of the playing game, then Stotts is gone. You know what I mean? So, like, at that
That's
point,
true.
you know, I don't even... Yeah, I don't know. I don't even care. I don't know. Like, would either be a more... I don't know. At this point, I almost just want us to face LA and take our lumps and hopefully have some positive change in the offseason. I don't know. I don't even know how to feel about this team in this situation as it is. But what were you going to say? We'll end off with that.
Well, speaking of feelings, Andrew Miller with another $5 donation. I was hoping to avoid this for this episode, but sorry, Tori, it was a dono, so I don't know if I should read it or not. But he says, "What are your feelings on Gonzaga?" Sorry, man.
Since it was a dono, I'm very depressed. I've been very depressed all day long.
Yeah.
But next year they should be back. They should be the number one team in the country. They're all but guaranteed to get the number one player in the country in Chet Holmgren. If Timmy comes back, we'll have Timmy and Holmgren playing together, which will be a nightmare for opposing teams. We'll actually have some rim protection, so hopefully defensively we won't struggle like we did against Baylor in that championship game. Timmy would maybe get better matchups in the post because Holmgren can shoot. We have Hunter Salas coming in, which he's a little higher ranked than Jalen Suggs was. He's like the 24/7 Sports has him as the 6th ranked player, so we got the 1st and the 6th ranked player coming in. Nemhard's coming back. Ayayi might come back, but I'm leaning towards probably not. Timmy, I feel like it's about 50-50 with him, so hopefully he comes back. We got some other guys that we've been developing, so should be right back at it next year. It's just depressing, man, because my teams are 0-4 in championship games. I still have no idea what a championship feels like in a team sport. We got to the doorstep, and then we absolutely got eviscerated against Baylor. It was depressing. It was the most miserable I've been watching 2 hours of basketball. It was not good. Yeah, so I've just been trying to spend today not thinking about it. But, you know, appreciate the dono, and that's how I feel about it, man. It's just rough.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Baylor played great though. It's hard. That's a tough team, man. Yeah. But if you guys play like 10 times, I don't know, it's probably pretty even. But yeah,
it just seemed like we came out dead. Like our energy was zapped, man. They came out with so much energy, and we did not respond well to it. And that UCLA game, I think, took a little something out of them, and then. Yeah, we were just sloppy. We got completely taken out of our offense. We looked more like the Blazers' offense instead of Gonzaga's normal offense against that defense, you know. But hats off to them. They were a great team. The narratives about Gonzaga, you know, being a school that always chokes. I mean, we've made the national championship game 2 out of the last 4 years. How many schools can say that? A lot of blue bloods didn't even make the tournament this year. Duke didn't make the tournament. Kentucky didn't make the tournament. Michigan State lost in the first 4. I mean... Every school has down years. A lot of new schools have kind of been on the rise. You know, Virginia won it a couple years ago. Dayton had a good chance to win it last year, and Baylor was up there, and Gonzaga was up there, and then Baylor wins it this year. You know, so I think it's getting harder and harder to win just because you have like a lot of schools that are, you know, the blue bloods aren't getting as much talent as they used to, and it seems like near the top there's less separation between like the first and second best teams, or the second and fourth, fifth best teams. Now, this year it was a clear breakaway between Gonzaga and Baylor. Baylor played a great game. Gonzaga did not play well, and that's what you get in that game. But I don't think that should take away from what Gonzaga did. They were a top 2 team in the country all year long. You know, it was them and Baylor all year long.
Nope. Candyman with the $5 donation. He says, "Here's $5 more for having to talk about it."
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the dono. Yeah, it was traumatic. But I think they'll be back at it next year. I mean, you know, it could be worse. It could be worse. You know, I'll be just as we should get Holmgren. If we get him, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him next year. they still probably are going to give me my best chance at a championship in the next 5 years. I do honestly feel that. So we'll see. But I agree with Dame for MVP. Paolo Banchero should have went to Gonzaga. I don't know why he went to Duke. He could have stayed in state and went to Gonzaga, man. That was disappointing. But still got a best recruiting class we've ever had this year, most likely. So anyway.
Do you know when Chad's supposed to commit?
Some people have said the next week.
So it's coming up soon.
Yeah. And every crystal ball, like every recruiting expert has made high confidence crystal ball projections for Gonzaga for him. So he played with Jalen Suggs in high school, by the way, and Jalen Suggs, of course, went to Gonzaga. So
yeah,
Jalen Suggs is maybe my favorite Gonzaga player ever. I hope he goes to a team I don't hate. I might get a Jalen Suggs NBA jersey. I need to get a Jalen Suggs Gonzaga jersey, but that dude's going to be my favorite non-Blazer once he gets into the league. That dude is phenomenal. That's what's sad about having one and done players. They're gone so fast, man. We're not used to it, but the only one and done player that Gonzaga's had ended up becoming a Blazer. So
yeah,
no, not Zach Collins, man.
I found out Zachary has a connection to Gonzaga.
Does he? What's his connection? Or does he not want you to leak it?
I don't know.
Rashad, no Suggs to the Rockets, man. No, thank you. So anyway, anything else you want to hit with this stream?
No, let's just hope that somehow, some way we come up with some sort of game plan to beat the Jazz.
Yep, that is my hope as well.
Besides, it's cool.
What's the connection?
So he's like second or third cousins with a guy named Matt Santangelo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
But that's going way back to my high school days. I was a sophomore. We played against him in high school, and he was like the big thing that year in the Portland basketball scene for high school. And he was supposed to be the next John Stockton there at Gonzaga. And I think he ended up playing overseas and stuff. I don't think he ever played in the NBA, but really good player.
I mean, he's a Gonzaga legend, man. That's crazy. That's a cool relation. I didn't know that. So
yes, I am old Belgian. Yes.
Yes,
that was like the late 90s. Yes.
Eric Woodman stories. Yeah. People are talking about where they want Suggs to go. I want Suggs to go Toronto. Give me a Jalen Suggs and Gary Trent Jr. backcourt of the future, please. I know they got Fred VanVleet, but I don't care. Give me that backcourt for the future. Toronto will truly be my second favorite team. You know, we've kind of had that alliance between our fan bases. Toronto will be my second favorite team if that happens. Give me those two in the backcourt. That would be fun for sure. Just their energy on the court too together would be fun. I would enjoy that. Suggs, Trent, and OG, hell yeah. That's my hope. Reese says Malachi Flynn greater than Jalen Suggs? Come on, Reese. But anyway.
What's up, Jakob?
What's up, Jakob? It's been a minute, man. Good to see you, but too bad we're signing off right now. Anything else you want to leave on air?
No, just thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting us rant, and always feel better after these episodes than I do going into them after watching that abysmal performance.
Yep. Thanks for making us a part of your night. Thanks for all the consistent support you guys give. If you emailed me about potentially writing for our website, I responded to I hope all of them tonight. If not, feel free to send me a follow-up email. Or if you want to write for our website, you can also email me. BlazersUprise@gmail.com is the email for that. We are trying to get the website underway. Pushed it off, just didn't have the time to give towards it, but ready to go and try and get that ball rolling on that right now. So I'm looking for writers. Mailbag, going to try and upload tomorrow. Kind of push that off a little bit. We're trying to get that out. Other than that, I think that's it. Follow us on Twitter at ToryJonesYT for me, at HoopShock for Eric, at BlazersUpriseYT for the channel. Thank you to my channel members. Thank you to my mods. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. And thank you if you participated in chat. I love how lively chat has been so far this season. So hopefully you have a good rest of your Tuesday night. The Blazers play on Thursday, Eric, next?
Yes.
Okay, so Thursday we'll have 2 streams for you.
Utah will be on a back-to-back, too.
We'll have Picks Against the Spread over on Blazers Uprise Live, our second channel. If you aren't yet subscribed, the link to go subscribe to that is in the description below, and then we'll have the post-game show right here on the main channel after we see what the Blazers do against the Utah Jazz. Somebody says Reese says my mic is retired. I don't know what that means, but I will retire for the night. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you later. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.